premieres in the air. The MCG lights up for the AFL centenary birthday bash, and it's victory to the Roos as North outguns Sydney's Kelly gang, shattering the Harbour City's dreams of football glory. Good evening, welcome to our special Grand Final Bulletin. Also tonight, graphic images from Western Australia's tragic landslide and 6 injured as a car spins out of control in Footscray. First to North Melbourne's classic victory in football's tale of two cities. 93,102 fans made the pilgrimage to the MCG to see the hometown favourites spoil Sydney's party. Darren Linton kicks off our grand final celebrations.
It's the dawning of a new era for the AFL, and a century after the league started, the fans are still lapping it up.
Oh, we were 10 past 4.
And what have you done since 4:30?
Read the paper, shivered.
How long have you been waiting for?
20 years.
By the time the gates opened at 7:30, more than 10,000 people had joined the queue.
Gate 8 are now open.
At the grand final breakfast, Sydney folk became the entertainment.
Jeffrey's good at nicking things. He might nick the Sydney Olympics from you.
And novelty acts provided the theme of the day around the MCG, as thousands more arrived for the game of the century. Swelling the numbers, the expected Sydney invasion.
15 hours on a coach
Which
from
broke
Sydney.
down on the way.
And all the power went out.
They were as welcome around the hallowed turf as fans like Bill French, a red and white veteran of 50 years.
3 gongs for a goal, but nothing for a point. We do not support mediocrity.
We are red, we are white, we are flaming dynamite. Ooh.
The post-Eddleston Swanettes welcomed Warwick Kappa.
Let's go, Sydney.
But it's Plugger and the Kelly gang the fans came to see.
Oh, a bit nervous, mate.
Good old North Melbourne, the champions you'll agree.
Victorian pride rested with the Kangaroos, and with painted faces, banners and loud voices, they set out to defend our honour.
Aussie kangaroo, blue kangaroo.
But the real winner is football, with the Sydney public becoming passionate about the game.
It'll get Australian rules off the ground up there, I think.
It's a tremendous spectator sport.
The pre-match entertainment rocked the stands with football classics.
Come on! Up there, in there and fight.
And birthday wishes from John Farnham.
Happy birthday to ya! Say it's your birthday!
Sydney fans delighted when a giant Paul Kelly took a screamer while King Carey deflated. But the entertainment was only a warm-up for the main event. The game is a sellout and the atmosphere on the ground is electric. But in the centenary year, the MCG is an even bigger stage, with millions more watching through television, including the game's newest fans in the Harbour City. But their love for the game may never reach that of this North Melbourne supporter, who proves that the game is larger than life.
Carey's been magnificent early.
Darren Linton, 7 Nightly News.
And now, with all today's highlights of the big match itself, we cross live to Jim Wilson at the MCG.
Oh, Mitch, there's nothing like grand final day, and today was no exception. In fact, the last of the North Melbourne fans are just leaving. They're on their way to Arden Street to join in the celebrations. Well, the Swans started in sensational fashion, slamming on 6 first-quarter goals to rattle the Roos, but at half-time, North was in front. And by the last change, the Roos led by 4 goals before running out 43-point victors. Mark Doran has all the highlights.
A confident Carey read up on his interstate rivals as their coach laughed off the Swans' status of rank outsiders. Kelly won the first contest and had a hand in the opening goal, Lockett converting a free kick downfield.
A deliberate, steady shot, and Sydney are away.
Third in line, Crocker marked as the Roos hit back immediately. Sensing a weakness in the Swans' forward setup, Mick Martin was on the run. There were no problems down back, Paul Roos in total control.
He heads for home. Roos is there on the last line of defence.
North's aggression came off the ball as the lead changed 7 times in the first 23 minutes. But then Sydney took over, Lockett creating an 18-point break.
Play, Tony! Left foot goal!
That became 24 points when Fairley handed the ball to Mooney. Sydney riding on emotion. From that point on, it was head down and hard at it for North Melbourne. Glenn Freeborn manufacturing 2 goals to keep his side in it.
Round the body, he's got another!
A second wave of defence started to stem the red and white tide, although Maxfield managed to find Plugger for number 4. Out of nowhere, the Roos exploded. Crocker and Allison goaling, the difference back to 5 points.
Taken by Allison, he's normally a good kick, he's got another one!
With Sydney now desperately looking for the half-time break, the elusive Freeborn put the Kangaroos in front.
Around his body goes Freeborn, and here comes North Melbourne.
North was determined not to get caught off guard again and found an extra spring in the step. But the run of play swung thanks to Maxfield's precision placement and Captain Kelly's trademark desperation.
And Sydney with chances, and North hold them up.
However, when Andrew Dunkley lost his nerve, allowing Bell to bounce one through, the Swannies started to sink.
Goals. Is it going through for goals? A touch? I don't think so. It's a goal.
North swooped on anything loose, a 25-point three-quarter time lead, the biggest of the match to date.
Down, Crocker, snapshot, he's got it.
Dennis Pagan still had work to do while Lockett tried to keep a grip on the match, but it all got away at the other end of the ground.
From 49 metres, North Melbourne look home here at the MCG.
Like his side, the skipper was just too strong. Incredibly, North Melbourne's 17th goal was Carey's first.
Goes for his first. And gets it.
But he still demanded more, and it came through veteran Ian Fairley within seconds of the final siren.
Fairley coming down.
Socket up the ground, there it is. North are champions.
It's absolutely magnificent. Every bloke on this side and the blokes missed out. Just, mate, the best bunch of blokes you ever want to win a premiership with them. Absolutely fantastic.
It was a bittersweet moment for South Melbourne legend Bob Pratt, who presented the Norm Smith Medal to the rugged Glenn Archer. It was then time for wild scenes of pure elation, North's 3rd flag ever.
It's a wonderful first half, wasn't it? There's a kick. Wayne Carey from Wagga.
Mark Doran, 7 Nightly News.
Well, Mark Beretta's in the victorious North Melbourne rooms, and Mark, the Roos must be jumping.
Well, Jimmy, they certainly are, mate. Jumping out of their skin at the moment. Wayne Schwass joins me. Wayne, a sensational game for you and a great feeling, mate.
Yeah, said to you before, I don't know. I can't say what I'm feeling. I just remember when I started out, like everyone else, when I was 10, I dreamed of this, and I didn't think it'd happen, but to sort of get through all the stuff and spend 11 years at a club like this, fantastic, mate.
Now, it was really that last 10 minutes, wasn't it, of the first half, second quarter, last 10 minutes that really turned it around.
Yeah, look, Sydney got off to a good start. We never underestimated them. There was a lot of speculation that we were very firm favourites, but with players like Kelly and Lockett and Lewis and Kickett and all these guys, quality side, and they deserve to be where they were, and got off to a very good start. And I think that little period just before half-time, the boys just started to get the feel that the momentum was starting to turn our way, and I think our body work and our pressure sort of gave us the idea that they perhaps were slowing down a little bit, and we came in at half-time. Just had a talk about what we were required to do, the very basic things, and the rest is history.
Mate, congratulations, tremendous effort. I know you've got a big night ahead of you. All the best, we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Mark, pleasure.
Good on you, Wayne. Wayne Schwass. Not such an exciting scene in the Swans rooms. Peter Landy is there with Sydney.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, predictably, fairly low-key affair here. In the background, you can hear Rodney Eade giving his press conference, and he's been particularly good about it. Very much a realist, and I have his offsider here, Damien Drum. Very disappointing, Damien, after quarter time.
Yeah, it was, Peter, but to the boys' credit, they fought the game out, and unfortunately, North just a bit too good on the day.
What did Rodney have to say? What did he feel the turning point might have been?
I just think that we probably, when we were well in front there, I think we got 20 or 30 points up, and we had a couple of opportunities there that we happened to miss, and that just sort of took the foot off the pedal. We really were on top of North, and then the game just sort of stagnated for about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden they got the first goal from there.
You don't feel you played your big one last week?
Oh, certainly not. I think the boys are very confident that they'd be able to go on and do well and win the game. But and I think the start of the game is testament to that the boys are ready to play. But maybe towards the end of the game, our hard run in might have taken its toll.
OK, Damien, well, congratulations on getting to the grand final. Commiserations today, maybe one better next year.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Damien. Damien Drum, the assistant coach to Rodney Eade here in the Sydney Swans rooms, and they are thinking about next year already, hoping, Jim, that they can go just one better in 97.
Yeah, great effort by the Swannies, and although it was a big disappointment for the club, it was still a day in history for a group of old South Melbourne legends. Nicole Javastic caught up with four of them as they headed to the first Swans grand final for 51 years.
Bill Collins was the last president of the old South Melbourne Football Club. Despite being stricken with cancer, he was determined to make it to the MCG to see the red and white.
And it's probably the last grand final that I'll hope to see South Melbourne in anyway, or the Swans in. Apart from the fact that it's 1945 as a spectator when I saw the last grand final. Yes, it's a very emotional day.
But there is another with a longer memory. 84-year-old Bob Pratt, the only surviving member of the 1933 Premiership team, says his old teammates would have been proud today.
This lives with you, it stays with you, no matter where you go, what you do. I think you always come back in. So you'd like to see South win.
Here at his pub, former South Melbourne great Brian Roberts was pouring beers and remembering his old club.
They're Sydney in name, but in heart, they're South. They're 33-1 at the start of the season. They're playing the grand final. It's a fairy tale.
Triple Brownlow medalist Bob Skilton says whatever the side's called, they're still his team.
Well, because that's my club. That's the side that I played with before they were shifted to Sydney.
So it may have been resurrected in Sydney, but for many the name doesn't matter. The old red and white is back. Nicole Javastic, 7 Nightly News.
And Mitch, the Swans were gallant in defeat. North Melbourne, of course, jubilation at Arden Street. It's all now from the MCG. More from grand final day later in sport. For now, back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much, Jim. In other news after the break, the latest on that dreadful Cliff tragedy, fire at Young and Jackson's, and Ross Oakley's last match as the boss, as our special grand final edition continues.
Next week, a warning to parents about what their kids really do.
Don't just accept everything they say to be gospel.
Melbourne's underground club scene.
At around 5 a.m, things really get started.
We infiltrate the hotspots next week on Today Tonight.
On-road handling is impressive.
Sets of new and very high standards.
The all-new Pathfinder is almost too good.
The Nissan Pathfinder has been designed to handle the most rugged conditions imaginable. But can it get through the mountains of great reviews and the flood of praise?
This has to be on top.
Of course it can. The fully imported Pathfinder.
With the Microsoft Office cashback deal, you'll really see your business grow. To get your business working smarter, buy Microsoft Office 95 now and get big rebates on some of Australia's biggest brands. Get $100 cashback on Hewlett-Packard printers, $50 cashback on fax answering machines, $50 cashback on fax modems, and cashback on great...
The Microsoft Office cashback deal for the not-so-small business.
I better sing a Satan's song. When the devil said sin, I sin belong. Oh yeah. He's a sinner and he didn't take care. The Lord's ain't yours, so he done his car wrong. Well, the hellfire freezes, the hellfire boils, and the getaway car it strains and toils. I poisonally ask you, boys and girls, the voice God commandment. Oils ain't oil.
Castrol, the oil specialist.
Be saved by Castrol GTX 2. Oils ain't oils.
Non-stop energy. The breathtakingly brilliant Circus Oz at Melbourne Town Hall. But not for long, so get your tickets fast.
Welcome back. The West Australian communities on Kawarramup Bay are trying to come to terms with the tragic landslide that's taken 9 lives. And the Prime Minister has sent a special message of condolence. This graphic report from Andrew Porter.
The desperate fight to find survivors. Dozens of volunteers pitched in, digging with spades and their bare hands, dragging away huge limestone rocks. Heavy earth-moving equipment was driven over a reef to get there. A group of about 30 young students, their teachers and parents, had been watching a surfing competition when the limestone cliff gave way. And Shepherdson was there moments before it collapsed.
There was no warning. I left a minute before it all happened. There was no warning.
For the rescuers, a devastating and difficult job. Their desperate efforts, though, saved the life of a young girl. She was pulled out alive, but her mother was among the dead.
And it was just chaos, and the one flicker of light was when we found this little girl, and I thought, hang on, you know, we may be able to find some more. So there was always hope.
Today, bunches of flowers were being left outside the local surf shop, owned by local identity Lindsay Thompson. He was also killed. The state's premier flew to the scene.
As a parent, I just cannot begin to comprehend the enormity of the loss that their loved ones are suffering today.
The Prime Minister had this to say.
Well, it's just one of those things that leaves all of us rather numb.
The tragedies hit the area hard, but the locals say they'll stick together.
We just feel terribly, terribly sad for the people involved.
Andrew Porter, 7 Nightly News.
In Melbourne, 6 people were injured when a car careered into lunchtime shoppers. Dean Felton with details.
The scene was chaos. A car into a pharmacy window, 6 people injured.
And I saw the car skid right through here.
People in your shop at the time?
Yeah, there was a couple. They nearly walked out the door, but I called them back.
The car had clipped 2 parked vehicles a block away, then careered out of control through a red light at the shopping strip's main intersection. It hit 2 more cars before smashing into the shop front.
The collision happened when the street was packed with midday shoppers. Witnesses said it was amazing more people weren't hurt.
One driver was briefly trapped but not badly hurt. It all happened so quickly, several people standing on the corner simply couldn't get out of the way in time.
All minor injuries at this stage, some deep lacerations from the flying glass.
They're very lucky. I noticed one lady's shopping trolley's been crushed. She was extremely lucky.
The injured were loaded aboard a fleet of ambulances and taken to the Western Hospital. Police say their investigations are continuing and charges may be laid. Dean Felton, 7 Nightly News.
Hope is mounting for an end to the latest clashes in the Middle East, with a peace summit tipped between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. At least 68 people have died since the violence flared 3 days ago.
More bloodshed as violent clashes between Palestinian demonstrators and Israeli troops continued in Jerusalem and the West Bank. Palestinian demonstrators in Al-Aqsa Mosque on Jerusalem's Temple Mount threw stones at heavily armed Israeli police. They responded with gunfire. 3 Arab protesters were shot dead, 5 Israeli police injured in the hail of stones. Police cleared the area, but news spread of the shootings, sparking more aggression. Palestinian President Yasser Arafat condemned the Temple Mount shootings. Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu, who spent time visiting injured members of his defence forces, laid down his terms to the Palestinians.
We negotiate peace in peaceful means, not in the streets, not with Molotov cocktails, and not with guns.
In the middle of it all, both sides buried relatives. There were 50 funerals in one day. In the European Bureau, Carolyn Cull, 7 Nightly News.
Back home now, and fire forced drinkers from the historic Young and Jackson's Hotel on Flinders Street overnight. Staff and patrons watched from the footpath as fire crews brought the blaze under control. There were no injuries, and although flame, smoke and water damage to the ground floor of the 121-year-old building is substantial, the hotel's most famous feature, the portrait of Chloe, escaped unscathed. Well, it's been an emotional day for many football fans, but none more so than AFL chief Ross Oakley, officiating at his last grand final after 10 years as the boss.
Ross Oakley started the day at North Melbourne's grand final breakfast, where he was named the club's Football Personality of the Year. The man credited with taking Aussie rules to a nation said the centenary year had been the highlight.
In seeing Australian football becoming a talking point in each of our mainland cities.
The Premier said he'd miss the only Victorian to attract more criticism than himself.
Despite having my sense of humour tested fairly severely on many occasions, it has been a privilege and honour to be part of a very dedicated and talented AFL team.
10 years is a very long time. It's a thankless task. If something goes wrong, they always blame the boss.
Then it was on to the place that's been home for the past 10 years, the MCG, where he welcomed many familiar faces.
Premier of Victoria, the Honourable Jeff Kennett, and his wife Felicity, who is a great Australian football supporter. She asked me, who's playing today, Ross?
Mr Oakley also paid tribute to his family and AFL staff for their support during the past 10 years. The man tipped to take his place, Wayne Jackson, resigned last night from South Australia Brewing. Liz McGrath, 7 Nightly News.
And all the best to Ross in his new job. And after the break, we'll cross back to Jim Wilson at the MCG for the latest on Grand Final Day 1996.
Happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
They're more than just stars. They're legends. Vivian Leigh and Clark Gable together in the world's favourite movie. The sweeping spectacle, the personal struggles, the blazing passion. When North versus South was a matter of life and death, and not just a game. On Melbourne's greatest day of the year, spoil yourself with a cinema classic, Gone with the Wind, tonight on 7.
You can take civilization along for the ride to places only a four-wheel drive would dare to tread.
From the mountain to the valley, from the highway to the alley.
Subaru Outback.
That's freedom.
The world's first all-terrain wagon.
That's freedom.
For the athletes of Australia, it's time to face the new millennium. The Olympic journey begins.
Something is happening in the world of banking. One organization is integrating financial planning, investment, insurance and banking to develop solutions not possible before. So you will be better off. It's more than a bank. Watch for the signs.
I've got enough high-tech gizmos and complicated formulas in my life. I don't need to put them on my hair.
Pears, a simple solution for simply beautiful hair.
There's more than one way to arrive. By road or by Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Welcome back to the MCG. I'm sure North Melbourne fans are enjoying the bubbly at Arden Street. It's going to be a big night of celebrations. And the Roos have double reason to celebrate today. The Reserves had a big win over Essendon in the Reserves Grand Final. The margin, a mammoth 104 points. And in the Under-18 Grand Final, the Preston Knights finished the better to beat the New South Wales ACT Rams by 15 points. To soccer, and in its debut season, the Collingwood Warriors are into the grand final of the Johnny Walker Cup. The Warriors were too good for South Melbourne, winning 3-1 to set up a final showdown against the winner of tonight's Marconi Brisbane semi-final. It's been quite a debut season for Collingwood, and Andy Vlahos got the Warriors off to a great start in the 26th minute.
Here's a chance for the Warriors, and there's the goal!
Collingwood supporters celebrated in the stands, but South Melbourne, thanks to some Warren Spink magic, scored the equaliser.
For Clarkson, curls it back, header, it's a goal! Magnificent Warren Spink!
But the Warriors had the quick reply through Taliadoris.
Goal! Come on, Taliadoris!
And when Andy Vlahos scored his second, Collingwood was home 3-1 and into next weekend's big one.
Vlahos has got the pace, a bouncing shot!
The champagne was flowing too for Damon Hill overnight, signing a one-year deal with the struggling Footwork Arrows team. Owned by Tom Walkinshaw, The Arrows team has had a horror season, scoring just 1 championship point from 15 races. Hill, on the other hand, is just a point away from sealing the World Drivers' Championship.
In the very near future, I believe that we'll be talking about a race-winning car and team.
And who knows, Hill may one day join forces with our own Craig Lowndes, who's also been linked with the Arrows Formula One team. And racing this afternoon was at Moonee Valley. Let's check the multiples. The Daily Double, $12.60 for 9 and 7. The Quaddie paid $1,232.50 for 9, 1, 7 and 7. And the straight 6 jackpots, the numbers 11, 11, 9, 11, 7 and 7. Mitch, it's been a big day here at the MCG. It's a fantastic atmosphere. It's the highlight of our sporting calendar. The 7 crew, obviously, they're all going home now, very tired after a long telecast. I can tell you, celebrations for the North Melbourne fans. A big night of partying ahead in Shinboner's headquarters. And, well, commiserations for the Swans.
Yes, Jim, I can't help thinking about John Longmire, though. I feel desperately sorry for him missing out in that premiership team because of injury. I saw him today on the telecast. Yeah, definitely the hard luck story of the grand final, Johnny Longmire. But I'm sure he'll enjoy the beer with the rest of his teammates at Arden Street tonight, as well as all the rest of the North Melbourne fans. There are a lot of them, and I think the last of them are just about to leave here to head to Fogarty Street, North Melbourne. A big night ahead for Shinboners fans. Thank you very much for your work today, Jim. Weather-wise, Melbourne turned on a ripper for this one day in September, but things are about to change. All the weather details next.
Coming up, it's all the action, strength and power as Australia takes on the UK in the Gladiators Ashes series. Premiering next on 7.
Here's your chance to capture the spirit of the AFL Centenary season. You can secure one of only 750 limited edition Centenary celebration prints, featuring a sensational night photograph of the Centenary reenactment game between Essendon and Geelong, and signed by Ross Oakley. It also includes autographed photos of the game's 8 living legends. At only $500 plus $25 postage, order your limited edition AFL Centenary print. Phone 1-800-151-201 now.
32 on the arm.
Are you blind? Let's go get some pizza, man.
Nothing brings people together like a nice hot pizza from Pizza Hut. Get your Shaq Sports bottle for $1 at Pizza Hut.
It was born of the toughest workforce on the road. Introducing new Ford Courier with rigid side impact bars for greater safety, a reinforced steel chassis for greater durability, and inside there's more than enough room for all the guys and all their gear.
It's one tough one-tonner.
New Ford Courier, built for tough.
At Tobin Brothers, we understand that not all funerals must be the same.
Loro hanno capito le nostre usanze e così svolgono il funerale.
Tôi rất hài lòng, họ biết tổ chức đám tang của bà tôi theo truyền thống.
Οι Tobin Brothers φροντίζουν να εξυπηρετήσουν με τον καλύτερο τρόπο, ρυθμίζοντας και την πιο μικρή λεπτομέρεια με τα έθιμά σας.
We understand the changing needs of Melbourne's families. Tobin Brothers, a better way.
EMS International Courier, Australia Post's premium courier service, door to door, worldwide.
A beautiful start to our grand final day, but the rain due very soon. 18.5 was the city's top today. That came around 2 o'clock after a chilly 6.7 to start the day. Currently around 14 and the relative humidity 49%. A huge cloud mass associated with a cold front and low pressure trough is blanketing southeast Australia. The Bureau says there's some heavy rain in amongst all that. The forecast chart for tomorrow morning has the low centred over Western Victoria, directing a very unstable airflow across Melbourne, so looking like a gloomy Sunday ahead. Nationwide tomorrow, showers and windy in Adelaide, rain periods for Hobart and Sydney, but 24 degrees in the harbour city. Victoria tomorrow, minor flood warnings for all northeastern and north central streams, rain throughout the state tending to showers later. A strong wind warning again for the bays, the easterly wind of 20 to 30 knots shifting nor-northwest, easing to 15 to 20 knots by afternoon. Waves of 1 to 2 metres decreasing to 1. And Sunday in Melbourne, rain periods periods during the morning, easing to a few showers later and a top of 19 degrees, a mild low of 12 tonight. And into our football-free calendar. Monday, just a few showers and 19. The showers more widespread and 16 on Tuesday, then just a shower or two and 17 for Wednesday. And that's the way it is this grand final day, the 28th of September. Thanks for your company. Congratulations to the North Melbourne Football Club, and we'll have all the celebrations tomorrow night at 6. Until then, from the news team, good night.
Seven Sport congratulates the North Melbourne Football Club, premiers in the AFL centenary year.
This program delivered to you by Pizza Haven. Phone 131 241.
In the last 200 years, we've carved a nation from this sunburned country, and we've carved it with pride. In 2 centuries, we've learned to stand proud on our own, no longer an outpost of the British Empire. We bow to no one, and now we challenge the motherland to match it with the best of our athletes, both challengers and gladiators, because it's time to do battle in the return of the Ashes.
Good evening, Australia, and welcome to a series that stirred our national pride last time round. These are the Gladiator Ashes, and for 3 weeks a combined team of Australian and British gladiators will test the best challengers from each nation. Last time round, neither nation got their hands on the Ashes. This time, England wants them real bad, and Australia wants them even more. So let the Brits try. Let's all raise the flag high and prepare ourselves for a specially extended edition of international competition with our traditional rivals. And let's also welcome our British host, Ulrika Johnson, and our very own Mike Hammond.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to the National Indoor Arena here in Birmingham and to our second Ashes series. The result of the first Ashes hosted in Brisbane was split right down the middle with a win for the British girls and a win for the Aussie guys. So both of the countries, of course, this year and over the next 3 weeks will be looking for an out-and-out win.
And of course the competition is extra tough tonight. Not only is their personal pride on the line, but these guys have got the pride of their country on their shoulders as well. And to make it just that little bit more interesting, we have some great prize money at the end of this series. The winner will take home £6,000, it's 12,000 Australian dollars, and the runner-up will win £2,000. That's about $4,000. So they've got to look after themselves, their country, and the bank manager.
So let's meet our contenders. Representing Australia, Marissa Hootner.
And representing Great Britain, it's Sarah Dan.
Marissa from Canberra is a teacher who swims. She does gymnastics, athletics, and plays Australian Rugby League. Sarah is a national heptathlete champion who is ranked number 5 in Great Britain, and she was the runner-up in the last England Gladiator final.
Marissa, a very warm welcome to the UK. How are you feeling?
Not too bad, actually. A little bit nervous, though.
Now, the Aussies will know you, but we don't. So tell us a bit about you, what you do and where you're from.
Well, I'm from Canberra, the capital of Australia, and I'm a physical education teacher.
Oh, so you're pretty fit then.
Oh, well, not all of them are, but I try to keep fit, yes.
Now tell us, how well did you do in the Aussie series?
Well, I actually was the champion of the Australian series.
Oh, that's terrific. And I understand also that you have the fastest eliminator time, is that right?
Yes, I do, but your course is slightly different, so I'll have to still work hard to keep it up there.
Wish you the very best of luck for tonight. And who knows, you could be bringing the Ashes back to Australia. Who knows? Let's hear it for Marissa Hootner.
Sarah, we're here in Birmingham. Whereabouts in the United Kingdom do you live?
Here in Birmingham.
So she's a local girl, folks. Wow. I think that gives you an advantage. Now, also you've represented Great Britain as a heptathlete, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Heptathlete consists of 7 events: hurdles, high jump, long jump, shot, javelin, 200 and 800.
So there's a bit of time to rest in between, or do you have to go straight through?
No, it goes over 2 days, so you get a little bit of rest in between. But it's good fun.
We wish you all the best tonight. Good luck.
Thank you.
Now we've met the girls, let's meet the guys.